Okay, everybody, a warm welcome here to our Thursday evening get together. I hope this all finds you well. Just a few things before we get going. Just to say, first of all, that a couple of our regulars won't be here. Jed, who normally produces this, isn't available tonight. And unfortunately, our American compatriot, Paddy, has been caught up in other things, let's say. So, Adrian, I hear you there. Welcome to welcome to the show, Adrian.
Thank you. If, just the two of us this evening, or
well,
Antonio joining, maybe.
I don't know. Did you send him the link?
I did indeed. Yep.
Yeah, so with a bit of luck, he'll come along actually. So we'll keep our eyes out for him. But yeah, so look, we're streaming this one across all the platforms. So we're out on Getter, Facebook, obviously in X, YouTube, etc., Rumble. So yeah, so wherever you are, anyway. Look, thanks for being with us on our Thursday get together, Adrian, which is highlight of the week. Insofar as it's a chance to relax and have a few laughs and talk about serious stuff as well, you know. So I thought what I would do is to kick off with because we're doing this differently now. We're not doing it in Podbean anymore. It is possible to play links and stuff. I wanted to talk about just for laughs. I wanted to start off with the Peter Morrell, Nicola Sturgeon business. I want to talk about that. I'm going to just bring it up on the screen here. A couple of the items that Peter Morrell was claiming from SNP expenses. Adrian, some extraordinary purchases. He spent $2,600 on salt and pepper grinders. I mean, King Charles probably doesn't have salt and pepper grinders that expensive. $3,231 on a coffee machine, which is a real interesting one. We're going to get to that. Apparently, he was into video games. He spent £1,488 on computer games, consoles, and gaming headphones. And then, bizarrely, 75 quid on a slouch pouch onesie. So you know this, Adrian, the background of this. So basically, he embezzled. I think it was 440,000. I think, wasn't it? From
indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of some of the extraordinary things he was buying with it?
Well, like £2,600 on salt and pepper grinders. How many did he bloody buy? You know, for two people that don't socialize and don't do anything, they were hardly hosting dinner parties that they were needed for. Are you sure maybe he wasn't spending £2,600 on the app grinder?
I hadn't thought of that.
Is that maybe a euphemism for that or something?
Maybe the salt and pepper is superfluous. Yeah, but I'll tell you, the coffee machine's an interesting one. He spent $3,200 on a coffee machine, right? And there's a photo which I've seen in the past week, and we're gonna talk about Nicola. We're gonna get to Nicola in a minute, right? But she did talk about the fact that she didn't know about any of this. But there is a photo of the internet on the internet of her in her kitchen. And right behind her, Adrian, is the £3,231 coffee machine. Do you know? And as I said in a podcast today, and I don't know if many people, I don't know how many agree, or not with this one. But sorry, I just seen some of your comments. Hi, Republican Rocker. Just wanted to say this. Hi, Chaz, Joel. Great to see you. Harry Johnson, Freedom Pen, that's Adrian. Yeah. So look, thanks guys for being here. Yeah. So she, back to him. The thought process there before I got distracted. Yeah. So she's visually standing in front of the coffee machine. She doesn't know about it, and I think women are more observant than men, generally speaking. So I don't know if there's any women listening to this or not, but like, if your husband produced an extraordinarily expensive coffee machine and it appeared in your kitchen, would you not notice it? What's your thoughts on the fact that apparently she knew nothing, the Manuel defense?
She knew everything. I'm convinced of it, and she's only playing this line now because they've been caught. I would say that she knew fine well exactly what he was up to, knowing how much he would have earned through the party. As the leader, she's bound to have known this. And, when she's seen all the purchases, because, pardon me, he was buying expensive jewelry for her, and £3,000 for a coffee machine. It's not just a run of the mill, buy it off Argos, Amazon kind of thing. That's going to come from a high end retailer. So she is bound to have known, And this, I knew nothing defense, I'm sorry, it doesn't wash with me at all. It absolutely doesn't.
Yeah, like there were some other strange purchases. For example, I mean, Peter Morrell has about as much hair as me, but he was buying expensive hair dryers. Really expensive hair dryers. He was also buying, Adrian, this is a strange one. He was buying ladies' razors and ladies' underwear, apparently. Now, again, how is she not connected to this? Unless he was wearing them himself, but I doubt that. Well, I don't know. But do you know? And then, Adrian, there's the biggie, the Uber biggie, the £126,000 camper van, which was parked for 2 years outside her mother-in-law's, and she said she never noticed it.
Yeah, but also, why would they buy a motorhome when she said they never went on holiday together? Because surely that's the whole point of a motorhome, going away for like long weekends, a couple of weeks away, going and seeing different places. But if you're such a high-profile couple with such a busy diary that you never get a chance to socialize or go on holiday, why would you buy a motorhome?
I don't know. I'm not sure if Paddy's joined the facility or not. I see it.
I am here for now. I am on the road. You may lose me at any time, but I am here.
You're not in a £126,000 camper van like the one we're talking about, Paddy.
Hell no! I wish I had one like that. That sounds like, you know how expensive they are.
Well, yeah. So this was the big. Well, back to what you're saying, Adrian. Like, you buy those things like to go traveling on for holiday. The claim was that it was bought for SNP independence purposes. That was the claim made at the time. But the thing is, it was parked at the mother-in-law's, at his mother's house, at the side of the drive. And her lawyer said, well, she never saw it, you see, because it was parked at the side. But if anyone's gone on Google Maps have shown that this massive bloody camper van, not only did it sit there for 2 years, but there's a big window that looks out at the side. So, she's bound to have seen it. I put it to you, Adrian. She's bound to have.
Yes, of course. And she's out there saying she was deceived, betrayed, and lied to by her estranged husband. That's just how the whole population of Scotland feel with her the whole time she was in charge, because she deceived and betrayed them and lied to them on multiple occasions. And she's doing so now. Surely as a major political party, those accounts would have been audited by independent firms rather than just internal people. So surely there has to be questions asked there. Because usually it's one of the big four accountancy firms that would go in and do that high profile work. So how did they not notice this? How was this able to be hidden for so long? And if people did know, how were they able to get away with it? Because this was money that was being donated by people, just every person thinking they were funding, the Scottish National Party to maybe get a new referendum or whatever. But it was blatant theft. So how were they able to get away with it for so long?
Well, it's big. Paddy, are you aware of this story? The incredible purchases of the former chief executive of the SNP in Scotland.
No, I missed this one, but there's no way you could miss a giant mobile home outside your own house. I'm sorry. What she think it was? Gypsy Roma? Did she think the Roma moved in next to her?
Well, the thing, it was her mother-in-law's, but Paddy, it sat there for 2 years. Now, she's not saying she didn't visit her mother-in-law's. That would have been even more weird. So if she did visit her mother-in-law's, and there's this huge big camper van at the side, all the neighbors that live around said, well, they all could see it. It is highly visible. Google Maps.
Was her mother-in-law living in it? Is that the scam? Is that the
I don't know. I don't know, Paddy. The thing is, like, Adrian makes a great point there as well. Like, this was all money that was donated to the SNP, and Peter Morrell, who is her estranged husband and was her husband at the time, he was in charge of everything, and he's pleaded guilty to to taking the money. But by pleading guilty, this is the stinger in the tail. By pleading guilty, that means it doesn't go to court. So I mean, he will be sentenced and he will go to prison for X number of months, which might prove quite interesting. But the case doesn't go to trial, meaning that Nicola escapes it. And is this really what it's all about? She cuts him off, or he takes the bullet so that she doesn't come down with him. Do you think that's a possibility, Adrian?
100%. She was a lawyer before she went into politics, wasn't she?
Don't know. I can't remember what she did. No, I don't know what she may have been. Yeah.
Isn't it ironic? In Scotland, you get so many free things, eye tests and all that. She was unable to see this big, large motorhome. Maybe she should go and make use of one of those free eye tests, because she was unable to see this thing for 2 bloody years.
I know.
I would say there is a deal between the two of them that he would take the fall.
Yeah.
For this, because obviously she now is an ex-leader. You know how ex-leaders usually end up in different government quangos and whatnot. So it would be easier for him to take the fall, because he's not as high profile as she is.
A really interesting thing is, whenever he pleaded guilty the other day to basically, illegally taking the money, she wasn't in. She was not in Scotland. She was in Ireland. She was on the Grand Canal in Ireland. And somebody said, "Isn't that a weird thing? On the day that your husband is your estranged husband is confessing to the crime, you take yourself out of Scotland altogether." Like, again, you got to wonder about that one. You got to wonder about what exactly went on there, and mind you, yeah.
There's no wondering. This was all plotted out. This was all thing. They knew. There's no way that they both lived in that house. There's no way that she didn't know it was there. There's no way that she didn't know how it was funded, and there's no way it wasn't prearranged as soon as they got caught that he was going to eat it for, so that because what's he do for a living?
Well, steals lots of money, apparently. That's what he does.
This started in 2010, right? So we're told the first embezzlement started in 2010.
That's right, yes,
so
yes.
How was this able to go on for, 15 years before anybody caught on? That's the bit I can't understand. Mm-hmm. Because surely as a political party, there are so many rules and declarations about their finances, and it would need to be audited and checked and all that kind of stuff. And even nobody within his own party was able to catch on. No. Like, surely, at one point, they would have been saying, how come our donations are down on this time last year, even though we're still popular and getting loads of people elected? How come we're not making as much money as we have been over previous years? How come nobody seems to have raised those questions?
See, James Jameson on the stream here says, my salt and pepper shaker cost 20 quid, not 2,600. James, you got the wrong one. I think somebody did point out, I saw it somewhere today, that they doubted that even King Charles, the monarch, would have salt and pepper grinders at 2,600. I mean,
he has butlers to do it for him who are probably on about £26,000 a year that we're paying for. Again, funny enough.
Yeah, well, that's also a fair point. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the other irony in this is, guess who? I'm sure you all know who appointed Peter Morrell to the position of chief executive. That's right, the current First Minister of Scotland, John Swinney. And John Swinney, Paddy, says he knew nothing about it either. It's weird. They all knew nothing.
They all turn into Sergeant Schultz as soon as anything hits the fan. I see nothing, I know nothing, I hear nothing. Meantime, they're all grifting. It's like over here. It's like, how do you go from being in debt to 2 months after you're in office, you're worth $5 million? It's like, these people are professional grifters, and they only squeal. They squeal, I don't know nothing, as soon as they get caught. And then, how long are they going to get locked up for? That's the question. Probably nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, because if any of us four or anybody listening embezzled £440,000 from their employers, I guarantee there would be a hell of a prison sentence coming up.
Well, I must ask Antonio, someone's having a fight in the background there. Mute your microphone.
No, I was rearranging the furniture.
Looking for a salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah, were you you beat me to it, Paddy? Yeah, were you rearranging your £2,600 salt and pepper shaker back, Antonio?
I don't know about this 2,600. I think I heard you say something about this on a podcast. Am I right that she's giving an interview or something, and in the background there's a salt and pepper shaker that looks like she's bought it from Tiffany's or something? Is that what it is?
No. Well, I've stuck it up on the screen here. It's so many things, actually, Antonio. But one of the acquisitions was a coffee machine at £3,231, and I've put up a photograph of her someone had done that. I mean, this is where the internet's so clever. So she's just standing in there, looks just like an ordinary kitchen. You don't really focus on the things in the background. But if you look at, and I'm sure I've stuck it up somewhere on one of my social media, X probably. This coffee machine, it's right behind her. Do you know, Paddy? It's right there, so she can't deny it. But she never noticed it.
What is it about socialists and conspicuous consumption? Paddy will remember this. I think it was during lockdown. And what's her name? Nancy Pelosi. She was just sort of showing everybody around her house and how, they were fully prepared and everything. It would be all right for them. And she was like opening her fridge. And it was like thousands and thousands of pounds worth of ice cream. That'll be for when Joe comes round. But like very expensive ice cream and fridges and freezers and just.
It was a 0-point refrigerator too, which is about a $20,000 refrigerator. She had this stuff in too. I mean, this wasn't not just the stuff that was stuffed in it. The appliance itself was like top of the line, custom made.
And
come on, guys. Nancy worked hard all those years studying the stock market. All that hard work paid off for her. So she's entitled to treat herself a wee bit.
Yeah,
the master trader, yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just good investments. That's all.
Didn't Zach Polanski have a fancy like canal barge or something like that? Was it? Am I right? Was it?
He stayed on it, but he didn't pay rates when he was staying on it. Curiously enough, but if you ask awkward questions like that, you're hounding the poor man.
We shouldn't ask socialists questions about their wealth and where they get it from and their taxes. No, you're quite right. It's harassment. It's only Nigel Farage that we should put these things to.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. So it's a real interesting one in terms of.
I've come in late, David. I'm sorry to interrupt you just then. What have you been discussing? And please forgive me.
Oh, we've just kicked off on the topic of the SNP. This is the whole Peter Morell admission, as Adrian says, of admission that he did embezzle £440,000 out of SNP finances, and we're just sort of saying. The story doesn't hold up, does it? Because he's buying things, or things are being attributed that he bought. I mean, is there receipts there for it? I would like to know as well. And as I was saying, Antonio, he also bought ladies' razors, ladies' knickers, quite bluntly, and also expensive.
Well, that doesn't mean he didn't buy them for him.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. Well, I mean, James Jameson did pick something. I saw it on the stream here. He says to me, "Oh yeah, her husband," in quotation marks, and we better not go down that road too far.
No. But didn't he spend a lot of money on hairdressers as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just looking here. He spent a lot of money on fancy umbrellas, luxury leather goods, leather accessories, more umbrellas, travel accessories, luxury writing instruments, gifts and accessories, classic books, British coins and precious metals. Let me
Wait,
see,
hang on.
glassware.
While he was doing this, she kept tapping on his shoulder and saying, What are you buying now? And he just, please, Nicola, please just go away. I've got this sorted. Oh, all right. Okay. What's this? It's like a camper van outside. No, just ignore that. Don't worry. I've got it. Are you sure? Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's sorted. Oh, all right.
When she's getting fresh espresso in the morning from her top of the line crops. What's she think?
This coffee,
Yeah.
So
it's £3,000 better than the last one.
He was spending money in Estee Lauder, Joe Malone, Molten Brown. So there's a lot of like ladies' luxuries there. And you do not think that Nicholas saw any of this?
Apparently not.
Come on.
Well, actually, Adrian, Police Scotland, who obviously investigated this, there was an agreement made that there were certain items that they would not pursue, and those were the ones. For some reason, the items that would lead us to think, oh, these are going to a female, Police Scotland decided not to pursue those. And
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, if Police Scotland are turning a blind eye, there is some serious corruption in this beautiful country. There is serious corruption. And I didn't know what propaganda was until one time I just tuned into BBC Radio Scotland, and it was as if she invented a cure for cancer. Really, it was Nicola this, Nicola that, Nicola this, Nicola that. I've said this before on this podcast, and you guys don't have to agree with me. There's a part of me that doesn't actually care about the camper vans and the £3,000 coffee makers and all that. I just wish there was an indictment on her policies, on the SNP's policies. If you look at the state of the health service, if you look at the state of education in Scotland, and if you look at the ferry fiasco. If you look at the amount of drug taking that goes on in Scotland, it's like double what it is in England and Wales. Drug abuse and suicides and all these things. I wish there were a conversation about things like that. And I think the reason there isn't one is because the other parties, the Labour Party, the Tories, and whatever, would probably implement exactly the same policies anyway. Both of them do not support the independence of the United Kingdom. Nicola wants Scotland independent, but wants to be a part of this. She used to want to be a part of the European Union, and it's the same with the Labour Party as well, and probably the majority of Tories.
It is shocking. James Jameson says these are wicked people. Yeah, they absolutely are. And
but see, she wanted. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. Please forgive me. Just let me point out. She wanted women to be in jail cells with potential rapists, with men who were probably in jail because of some kind of sexual deviancy in the first place. She wanted that. And why is that not the scandal? I know she sort of fell on that sword ultimately.
She did.
But again, there are many members of the Labour Party that want exactly the same thing. I wish these were the discussions. I do think it's bad that camper vans that cost, I don't know how much a camper van costs, 100,000 maybe more.
126.
126 come out of nowhere, these things. But I strangely think there are more important issues. I do think if there's corruption, he should be prosecuted and she should be prosecuted if she's involved for that.
Yeah.
But I just think there's more at stake. And do you see the point I'm making? I'm repeating myself. Sorry, Uncle David.
Yeah, the thing I would sort of say to everybody is, it doesn't seem that long ago when we were in the middle of the COVID tyranny, the lockdown and all of that stuff was going on. And Sturgeon was First Minister of Scotland, leader of the SNP, and she could do no wrong in the eyes of the media. The more she locked down the Scottish people, the more excited the media got about it. She was the Queen of Scotland, Nicola, Queen of Scots. And that was 2021, 2022. And then it was only in 22, I think, that the whole 22, maybe 23, where the whole issue about putting convicted male rapists in women's prison suddenly came out of nowhere. And that is, Antonio, what brought her down. But I can't forgive her for what she did to the Scottish people before that. So I'm with you. I get that. But that's erased from the memory.
I made the point earlier that these policies weren't so different to what sort of Boris was doing or what Sir Keir Starmer was wanting, and actually Andy Burnham, why not, was calling for. I remember she tried to make a personality cult out of herself. I think it might have been the Daily Record, one of these awful newspapers. They wanted. Do you remember that Pray to the Sky God every Thursday? They wanted to do something for. Well, she called herself Wee Nippy. Nobody in Scotland had called her Wee Nippy. We called her Jimmy Cranky. That's what we called her. But they tried to get something going for. Might have been her 50th birthday or something, where everybody came out and cheered. Nobody. Not interested. Yeah.
Do you think this might be to deflect from something else?
Entirely possible.
Because I would say this isn't the only skeleton in their cupboard.
I think Adrian, because I've made the point is to deflect from awful policy. Do you think there's more corruption going on that Squinney might have something to do with?
I would say there is. The point I made, Grant Antonio, before you come on, this embezzlement started in 2010. So how did it take 14 years for this to be discovered? So if they were doing this for 14 years, I guarantee you there were other things going on that we're not hearing about in that time.
Hunter Biden made a big fuss of his laptop, and he purposely took photographs of him smoking crack and dressed in nothing. And that was the big fuss, that he was, just doing all kinds of pervy things. But that was actually a real distraction. Very well played move on Hunter Biden's part, by the way, from other things that were going on, like barista and things like that. But Uncle Paddy's probably got a lot to say about that. So what are you getting at? You just more corruption? Is that? I mean, look, a lot of money's gone missing with this ferry fiasco. A lot of money. But again, it's the same with HS2. So I am talking a lot. Go on, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So if this guy was started embezzling for 14 years before it was brought out into the open, the more he embezzled from 2010 onwards, the more he would have believed he could have got away with it. So I would say that there's other things that have happened and been done that we don't know about yet.
Do you think he's a fall guy?
Yeah, we said this a while back. Yeah, he's taken the hit for her.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well,
he's using your math, Grant, 14 instead, because it's 26 and it happened in 2010. It's actually 16 years, not 14. But that's all right. We're talking about numbers here that don't add up anyway.
Well, I want to move it on anyway. So we leave Nippy and
Cranky.
Cranky and her lavender husband, Peter, just a restrained lavender husband. And those of you know what I'm saying, we'll leave that one behind us. I want to move on. I'll tell you what I wanted to do, actually. Paddy, I know that hopefully you'll be able to be with us the whole program, but I wanted to actually just get your thoughts on something that I was at last night. The Free Speech Union, of which I'm a member, came to Belfast and roadshow last night, and they were very interesting evening. They had a lot of their sort of case workers present, and I got to chat with them about this, that, and the other. And the UK is falling more and more into an authoritarian hellhole. And especially, and I know I'm probably older than anybody else here, but young people, in particular on campuses in the UK, are having a hell of a hard time. And there's an elite group of universities called the Russell Group. I went to one of them, which is Queen's University in Belfast. And they are amongst the most persecuting of students who oppose the narrative. So if you're at uni basically now and you dare go against the gender, the gender narrative, or you go against Islam, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in real trouble. And I wonder what you guys reckon to this intolerance that's on campuses. And the second follow-up point I want to add to that is that a lady I was speaking to also about, oh yeah, well, of course, there's all this censorship on campus. But if you go back as far as primary schools, there's now materials being smuggled in to some of the courses that primary school kids are taught that softens them up so when they get to secondary school, they're even more softened up. And when they get to uni, bang, they're full on Marxists, and as simple as that. And so the Free Speech Union basically defends these people legally and whatnot, which I think is very good. But it is a shocker that free speech on university campuses is increasingly at risk because of student unions who are all incredibly woke and Marxist. Okay, who wants to go first on that one? It was in Belfast, by the way, Adrian, up in just Ormeau Avenue. That's where it was.
Yeah, I saw that on your profile earlier on. I didn't even know what was going on. Otherwise, I would have attended myself. But this is what they need to do. They need to target these people when they're young. Because who was it the Jesuits said, give me a boy until the age of 7 and I'll show you the man? I think it was the Jesuits said that.
Oh, Churchill.
What? Churchill didn't
that was Churchill.
No, it was Jesuits.
The Jesuits, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, like when you've got these kids who have been in such a regimented system for so long, and you can sort of shape their minds and make communism, socialism seem so great, so warped, when they have no life experience, it's very easy to get them to go along with it. You know, but the universities, as we said, that has been a hunting ground for a long, long time for these Marxists. And
but university should be about, you know, people's minds being opened up, not closed down. For example, here's one for you. Oxford Union was going to have a debate between Tommy Robinson and Lawrence Fox and other parties on Islam, right? That was a great free speech thing. It was shut down. I'll tell you how it was shut down. The police said that, to do the security for this, because it's going to be, you know, very contentious, it's going to cost, I think, about 70,000, right? And the student union, Oxford Student Union, said, well, we ain't got that money. So Tommy Robinson, Lawrence Fox said, we'll put the money up. We'll pay for it. We'll cover the security costs. The police said, no. The student union has to cover the security cost. So it didn't happen. This is, Grantonio, this is the tricks that they do to shut down debate.
Yes, universities are supposed to be places that teach you how to think, not what to think. Today's students are tomorrow's members of parliament, tomorrow's teachers, tomorrow's civil servants, tomorrow's journalists. Why not tomorrow's media people, comedians, rock stars? You know, the people that they're just steeped in cultural Marxism, or as I like to call it, Marxism. I've said this before on this show. I worked with a great bunch of people, great bunch of people not long ago, and all of them had in their biographies their pronouns. None of them had pronouns that didn't match with what we would assume were their pronouns. But the point I've made before, and I'll make it again, I used to think it was narcissism, people having their pronouns in there. Look at me, I've got my I now understand it's actually conformity, and it's fear. If you've got like a flyer for some, I don't know, student production of whatever, of Macbeth or whatever, and there's photographs of all of them on the back, and they've got he, him, she, her, whatever, after all of their names, that one student that's, I just don't want to go along with this. And they'll be like, do you know what? I just don't want the hassle. I want to get through university. I want to get my grades. And I don't want people saying that I'm intolerant or bigoted or transphobic. So yeah, put my pronouns down. He, him. Go for it.
Yeah. I just want to say a word of to our Iranian viewers over on X. I see you there, guys. Stick with us. We're going to get to that topic as well.
So, David, why could Lawrence and Tommy not have made a donation to the Students' Union then and let them then pay the fee to the police? There would have been ways around that. If the police were not going to accept the cost directly from Lawrence and Tommy, they could have made a charitable donation to the Students' Union, who then could have paid the police to let this go on. It just shows you the cock society that we've become.
Adrian, how woke are the police? Now, anybody here feel confident that if they were stabbed by somebody of an ethnic background, that the police would come along and take them seriously? Do you feel confident that the police wouldn't turn to the person that stabbed them and said, "Did he call you a naughty word? Oh, was he racist? Was he?" Right? Well, we can see that you're bleeding profusely, but we're going to put handcuffs on you.
Didn't that just happen like 2 weeks ago?
Exactly.
I don't feel confident that if I was stabbed by someone, that the police would come along and help me out on the basis of the color of my skin.
Well, this is the point, Adrian. You mentioned this was it last week? We obviously, as Paddy says, this happened to a young 18, 19-year-old chap called Henry Nowak, I think that was his name, Novak. And yeah, he was stabbed, as you said, Antonio, and by a guy with an 8-inch knife.
He was bleeding profusely.
He was bleeding.
Turned to them.
Yeah.
He said, "I am dying. I have been stabbed." But they sat around. You've seen the footage of the police turning up to people's houses. Have you said naughty words? Have you been tweeting bad things? I can imagine what they were like. Where they were like, "Yep, but you know what? You did call him something you shouldn't have called him."
Where's the body cam from those officers who?
Well, exactly. Where's the body cam? I want to see it.
Didn't they arrest him?
Yes, but they put him in handcuffs, Uncle Paddy. They put him in handcuffs.
As he was dying. Some people have said this is like a reverse George Floyd moment, if you know what I mean. But it's been met with pretty much studied media indifference. I think, you would have to say, if it had have been a black guy, I wonder what the response
we would have found out. Yeah, but do you remember the Ukrainian girl that got stabbed on the subway in the States?
Oh, yes.
How long did it take before the media started, begrudgingly acknowledging that something bad happened there?
And they reversed that. They had this. They put up like painted signs of buildings in memory of, and done that. And they forced those people to take those things down. Meantime, we had the Minneapolis mayor, Fry, he took Memorial Day and said, "No, today's not Memorial Day. Today is George Floyd Day." And the Governor Walsh attended. Screw the vets. It's George Floyd Day.
Yeah, it is shocking.
Policing in this country is no longer policing. They're not interested in the traditional crimes of murder, robbery, things like that. They're more interested now in thought crimes, that kind of way. I saw somebody arrested last week online because they had pumped their horn in their car. So the police stopped them and were giving them a warning. Never mind the fact that there's people being stabbed, young girls being raped and all that kind of stuff. They're now going after people for the most the least bit harmful things to society, if you know what I mean. They're focusing on all the wrong things.
There was a couple of interesting slides last night on the police, and they actually have the Free Speech Union have produced a map of the UK, broken down into the individual police forces, and in each police force cell it shows the highest number of prosecutions. And really what's fascinating is a pity Jed's not here tonight. There's a kind of arc stretching from sort of the west of England up through Manchester, up a northern arc, and it kind of links into where the more Muslim constituencies are. And you can see there very clearly that those police forces are prosecuting most often for Islamophobia type crimes, right? And as an aside, Adrian, throughout in Great Britain, so in Scotland, Wales, and England, the police forces have come out and said that we're no longer going to tackle people for non-crime hate crime, which is so stupid in the first place.
Orwellian.
Yeah, but guess what, Adrian? Can you guess which the one police force in the UK that said, yeah, well, we're going to continue doing that? Can you guess what that one might be?
Probably the Met.
PSNI, here in
Okay.
Northern Ireland. We have the only police force in the whole of the UK that says, well, actually, we're going to keep we will do that. Having said that, there actually are very few prosecutions over here. But it just shows you, I'm with you, Antonio. I have like less than zero confidence in the police. Do you know? And they've earned that because of their atrocious behaviour, especially at senior level. Ordinary
What I would
bobbies.
like to see with the police is see all these recruits that are coming out of university. I would like them not to be considered. Anybody that served in the armed forces, say for a minimum of 5-7 years, and leaves with a good, clean record, they should automatically be offered a role either in the police, the fire service, the prison service, things like that. Because those people, pardon me, are fully trained on how to deal with crowds, riots. They know how to handle weapons. They know how to handle themselves. They know how to work as a unit. And they would be more suited to be in the police force that we need in this country, rather than these woke twats coming out of university who think women can have penises and all bloody sorts.
Yeah, actually, Paddy, can I ask you, in the States? So what Adrian and Antonio were saying is absolutely right. You know, we've got very woke policing because a lot of them are coming out of university into the police. In the States, is that the normal kind of, you know, channel? Do you or do you just ordinary folks can join the police in the States without going to university?
You can anybody can join the police. And here's the thing: is the problem is the they the politically control about 10% of the police. That's why they're defunding the police, because the police don't want no part of this crap. The police in the United States are more of a paramilitary. You know, they want it. That's their job. Is there a lot of animals running loose in our country, and their job is to put them down and keep them down. But they've got them. They don't want them to do that, because you've got, if you took right now, United States is not, if it's not number one in gun violence, it's in the top five. But if you took out five cities, the five Democrat, L.A., Chicago, Detroit, Philly, and New York, out of that, we dropped down to 143rd in gun violence. And it's all these Democrat, no gun zones, political gun. And if you arrest these people, even though 90% of the police force in these cities are black, you arrest these people, you're a racist.
Yeah, it is. It is shocking. Yeah. Okay, I want to keep moving it on a wee bit. I can see our Iranian friends here. Paddy, I might actually just pick this up with you. So, obviously, Paddy, you sent me a message there just before we came on air. It seems to me, and I said it last week, so I'm being consistent in this. I think that Trump is ducking out of any kind of further military intervention in Iran. I think I don't know if it's going to be a deal or not, because that is not clear to me that there's going to be a deal. But
there's going to be a deal about the deal. There's going to be a deal to take the time to organize the deal and everything else. What has happened is, and I pray, and I apologize to any Iranian listening, because you're going to go through 6 more months of unnecessary hell, for the simple reason that the press and the Democrats are using this and the price of gas as a campaign issue, and we cannot afford to allow for the Democrats to take control of Congress. So the Iranian war is on hold until after the election, and there isn't going to be anything done of major consequence until the election is over.
By which point the regime will have fully rearmed. Giselle here from
see that doesn't matter either. The whole point is we got to get gasoline back down from $5 a gallon to $3 a gallon. Then after the election, win, lose or draw, they can't do, even if they lose, even if we lose control of the House and the Senate, they can't stop Trump from doing what he wants to do for 2 years.
Yeah,
So
Paddy,
he can bomb the crap, and he will bomb the crap out of them.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt that. Adrian, where do you stand on this one? Because it's obviously, you're very supportive of Trump, and as you know, I've become less and less supportive of him on this one issue. Do you think? I mean, it looks like there's despite all the bellicose tweets, social media posts, he's not going to do a damn thing, as Paddy says, maybe until, I don't know, next year, maybe.
I think we're all missing something. The whole point of the Abraham Accords was to get the Middle East to deal with Iran, right? Get the neighbors. So the Saudi Arabias, the Qatars, all that, because they're all Islamic countries. And we saw there when this all kicked off that, Iran were able to send missiles to, target UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, places like that. And I think the whole point is to get those countries to step in and deal with Iran themselves rather than America. Now, I know his rhetoric out there is that he's going to bomb them into hell and all that kind of stuff. There's just something we don't see or we don't know that's going on.
The Abraham Accords are, and he is doing. He just mentioned that, and they are pushing. They're talking about, Saudi Arabia and Turkey involved in it, and Turkey should be totally thrown out of everything anyway. But
yes,
they don't have the weaponry.
He wants Iran to join the Abrahamic Accords as well. So. And to me, it's more about getting the Middle East to police its own region. So instead of America bombing the living hell out of Iran, if you have the other Islamic countries, like Saudi Arabia was losing money when they were being attacked, by Iran, and so was UAE because they were, with the oil exports and things like that. I think there's a bigger picture that we're just not seeing fully yet. We don't know everything that's going on. And I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from, David, but I just think there's a lot more behind the scenes that we do not see.
Grantonio, is this a topic that you want to comment on?
Not really. I don't know enough about it other than I feel desperately sorry for the Iranian people who were encouraged by Trump to take to the streets. He had their back, was what he said. And I wonder, actually, and I don't know if Uncle Paddy's going to agree with me, I wonder if Trump's got blood on his hands.
Yeah, I think this is the worst move of the Trump presidency. I do think
to a point, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, Paddy, I support Trump on just about every other issue, but on this one, the thing about it is, though, I see salty Republican rocker as well. The thing is, I thought this was a chance for Trump to do three great things. Number one, totally change geopolitics. If Iran, if the regime fell, and you got someone like Reza Pahlavi coming back in, which most Iranians would be happy with as an interim leader anyway. Iran pivots, it becomes pro-Western, it no longer is a threat to Israel, and Trump gets his face in Mount Rushmore. That's, Paddy, what I thought that's where we were going. And I think you're right, Paddy, as well. I have to say that pressure from the media and from the Democrats, and the fact that it's your election cycle for every 2 years, it's probably too much to do anything unless you do it really fast, like bomb the hell out. The chance was in January, February. It's taken too long.
It was Saudi Arabia was about to do a deal with Israel several days before the October the 7th attacks, and Iran really helped Hamas to stop that deal going through.
Well, that's the point I was going to make.
Look, I honestly believe there's a lot more here that we do not see, we do not know. We don't know everything that's being said in those rooms, and only a small amount of information is being released to the media. And sometimes what they release to the media is the complete opposite of what's going on. We know that.
Yeah, but every day, Adrian, Iranians are being executed. Now, the internet got turned on after 90 days or something yesterday. So all of a sudden on social media, you're seeing videos of showing that the Iranian people did try to rise up, but they had no weapons. So that's why they were mowed down in the streets.
The internet being off actually hurts the regime more than the Iranian people.
Interesting.
It does, because their infrastructure has been bombed to shit. We know that. So if they don't have the internet, how can they get stuff out to the outside world? We know all the infrastructure has been attacked left, right, and centre. So if there's no internet, they can't put out their propaganda. So to me, that hurts them more than the ordinary citizen.
But they turned it off, Adrian, so that the videos of people being slaughtered could not be shared. That's why they turned it off. They didn't want the world to see their dirty deeds back in January 8th, January 9th. You know, that's why they did it.
And I said this a few weeks ago, the uranium issue is a massive issue in Iran.
Yeah.
Because this all ties back to Clinton and Obama. You know that. And this is why he keeps talking about the nuclear dust. There's a lot of things going on. Before he attacks the Iran, he needs to speak to those countries that are in the Abrahamic Accords, so the Qatars, the UAEs, the Saudi Arabias, blah, blah, blah. He can't just go in and bomb, because he's trying to get these people on board, because he doesn't want America to be the policeman. He wants these Middle Eastern neighbors to start policing Iran, because if you have 79 Islamic Muslim countries all against Iran, then it's harder for the Iranians to keep doing what they're doing. Sorry, the Iranian regime, should I say. Do you understand the point I'm trying to make?
I do, but I've actually written an article that's published out on First Post today, out in India, on this topic. And I believe that the consequence of the way Trump's handled this is that, you see, the Abraham Accord and all of that. I think there's a new accord being put in place, and it's very much not to our advantage. You've got Saudi and Pakistan have a pact. You've now got others like Oman, like Qatar. They're also beginning to come together with Iran. So it doesn't work to our advantage. It's the anti-Abrahamic Accord that's actually fallen into place. And nobody in the right mind should trust Pakistan, and yet Trump did. I don't understand why Trump trusts Pakistan. Paddy, do you? Because I wouldn't trust them to go, further than I could see them.
Pakistan's a terrorist state. I don't understand trusting Pakistani. They shouldn't be negotiating for us. They shouldn't be involved in this at all, and yet they are.
Yeah, that's a strange.
There's a lot of these countries actually want to work with Israel. A lot of them. Why? Because Israel is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. And they want the technology because some of them are trying to move on from the oil era. They're trying to find new ways to be able to create and develop their countries. And this is why they want to work with Israel, where the Iranian regime's whole purpose is death to Israel. And that's America. What been, from 1979, there's no other appeasement to them. Whereas I said, the Saudi Arabians, the Qataris, whilst there are dodgy elements within those countries, the majority do want to be able to move and progress their countries on, and they need Israel for that. Look, the whole issue, I get where you're coming from about innocent people dying. It's not good. It's really not. But I think there's a lot of stuff we just don't know.
Again, I want to read a comment out here from Giselle, hope I'm pronouncing it right, saying, 2 days ago, my friend posted something on Instagram. The regime's caught him. I don't know where he is.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, see, Antonio, I totally appreciate that comment. As a friend of mine was saying, an Iranian who I'm friendly with, turning on the internet is actually a sort of trap, because the IRGC are monitoring where who goes online and who says what, just like Giselle says. So it's almost like this is a lure. Turn on the net. Oh, I'll go and publish something now. Then they know where you are in the country. Yeah.
And another 10, 15 years. Another 10, 15 years, the UK could be in exactly the same position.
That's just about to say, Adrian. We were talking earlier.
We could all go missing for posting stuff like that online.
Some people do get arrested. But I tell you what, it does humble you a little bit to think about what people are going through in Iran through just trying to express themselves freely in that country. And it's I get, like, I'm repeating myself. I feel desperately sorry for the Iranian people. I don't know how we're going to get them out of this, how they're going to get out of this. It's just grim. I feel sorry for the Israelis as well. Go on, Uncle David. Go.
Yeah, no. Listen. Well, the only hope is that maybe Israel will go and do it itself. I mean, Bibi Netanyahu, I think, has been very good through most of this. And say what you will about Israel, it has stood fairly strongly with the Iranians. I reckon, I don't know what you guys think, Paddy, but I reckon it would have been Israeli intelligence, not American intelligence, that in the first few days of the war was able to pinpoint, where the Ayatollah was to take him out, and it was very, very sharp intelligence leading to the assassination of the right kind of people.
All the internal intelligence is coming from the Mossad.
Exactly. Yeah. Mossad.
Did you not see that there was a top Iranian general went missing after a couple of days after the strikes,
right,
and the Israelis put out that he had been a long-term spy for them, and he was pretty much at the very, very top. Yep. See, when it comes to the art of war, the Israelis cannot be touched. They are so far ahead of everybody else.
Can I just tan my genitals for a second? If that is the case, why not extend that to other countries like the United States of America or the UK? Or is that taboo to suggest that perhaps the Israelis have got, spies in Parliament?
Of course they have. Of course they have. Yeah, but we all do. See, Grantonio, every country spies in every other country. It's just commonly understood, and it's just that Israel does it really. Mossad do it really, really well. For a small country, they're really hot on that. But I mean, I see Giselle saying here, just Netanyahu is our friend. God, it's so sad that I've been blessed in the last 5 months, whatever, to get to know so many different Iranians over, this whole issue. And the one thing that strikes me is they're some of the best people I've ever talked to. Their moral standards and their ethics are so high, and actually, Grantonio, to your point, they just want to lead their life. You know what I mean? All they want is can we just lead our lives, please, the way we did before 1979?
Can I ask you a personal question, David?
Yeah.
I made this point a few months ago that I probably wouldn't have known anything about what was going on in Iran if it wasn't for yourself. And I mean that, and I don't mean to sort of blow smoke or anything, but really, you were really pushing it, what they were going through, in a way that I just didn't see other people on X doing that. And I noticed that the likes of Elon Musk and people were retweeting you, and that became a big thing. But can I ask a personal question? What is your emotional attachment to this country and what it's going through? Is it that you just see that they're being repressed and you want to, or is there just something else? Have you got family in Iran? Or?
No, but I've got to know so many of them, Grantonio, especially in January, in early January. I kind of descended upon me, and everything that I saw and everything that I read from them just moved me. And I thought, well, these people just deserve the same as you, me, Adrian, and Paddy. Why can't they lead their lives without?
I just think
hanging them.
It's very magnanimous on your part. Again, I'm sorry to embarrass you like this, David, but to speak up for people when other people weren't, and I admire that. So there you go.
Sometimes I think I'm a voice in the wilderness, but I always do my very best to be consistent. And I think that what's happening to the 90 million Iranian people held under subjugation by that regime, it's awful. And so I can't let go of it. And as I've said to them today, look, I know the internet's back up. As Giselle says, you got to be real careful, Grantonio, if you use it, because you can be then disappeared. But I think ultimately they will prevail. I would just say this. I'm gonna sort of move it on. But I think Iranians will prevail, and it'll not be because of Donald Trump. I think ultimately they will overthrow that regime. They've been trying since 1979, and like I saw, for example, an online clip today where I saw one of the sort of the Nazi enforcers of the regime had a bit of an incident in the street in Tehran, care of a machine gun, and somehow or another they will prevail, and that's all I can say.
Well, there was probably a lot of people in 1989 who just couldn't imagine the Berlin Wall coming down.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, there's an old line. I know I trot it out as a cliche, but it's true enough. The darkest star is before the dawn. Okay, so I'll park it there if I may, because I want to bring in our special guest. I've got a special guest now I can play things with you guys. This is good. I want to bring Nigel Farage into the conversation now, okay? And this is Farage having a very short clip of him talking about some really truly shocking news regarding the employment of Brits and non-EU people in the UK. Listen to this, guys, and then let's chat about it.
And education. And we see the figures that since 2020, for every one young Brit given a job, 27 people who've come in from outside the world have got jobs. Now, is this because all of you youngsters are lazy, useless, good for nothing? Or is it because employers want cheap foreign labour? Is that why you can't get a job during the summer holidays or when you're a student?
So, bit jumpy there, but I'm sure you heard the gist of that. So, yeah, for every 27 non-EU workers, you get one Brit getting a job. What do you think of that stat? Who wants to jump in on that one?
When you consider the number of doctors, rocket engineers, and all that's coming into the country, it's obviously going to be very hard for the native population to compete with that.
Yeah, but they're picking strawberries and stuff like that.
I have never seen a British Deliveroo driver. Never.
It's weird, that, isn't it? Yeah, I've never seen one. Yeah, but like the point that Nigel Farage, it came out in the stats today that there's this massive change happening in the UK whereby it's very specifically non-EU workers, especially young people, young 18 to 30-year-olds. They're getting all the jobs. Farage is right. It's because employers want cheap, dirt cheap labour, and that's the source of it. And you know who I blame for that? Not Keir Starmer. Boris Johnson is who I blame for that. Anyone agree?
Why do they call it the Boris wave? It wasn't a wave.
Because
it was a tsunami. It was not a wave.
Yeah.
Boris wave.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things that we were talking about earlier, like the wokery in the culture and all that sort of stuff, and women being locked up in prison wards with men, and all of these things happened under a conservative government.
Yeah, you're dead right. Absolutely right. It's a very, we shouldn't forget that it was the conservative, it was the Boris tsunami that came in 2021. The numbers are off a scale. And the only reason that, that a lot of this is happening, you have to attribute it to the Conservatives, which is why I find it very hard to take Kemi Badenoch seriously. I was talking to, I suppose, not no secrets here. I was speaking to Toby Young last night, and about Makerfield, about the whole restore reform thing, which we're going to move on to as well. And I was asking him, because Toby is, as you know, he's in the House of Lords now, and he got in as a Tory peer. I think Kemi Badenoch sort of got him there, and so he thinks she's doing a good job. I think he's got questions about the caliber of other people behind her. But then he said to me, but just look across onto the government benches and look at the caliber of people there. And so maybe it is more generic. Maybe we've just got an awful load of crap people in politics, which is where you then turn to situations like Makerfield. And this young lad that Reform have put in, Councillor Rob Kenyon, to try and defeat Andy Burnham. Did you see all the stuff he got into about spicy comments he responded to concerning Carol Vorderman's bottom? As he put out he's been demonized as a perv and all the rest of it. And as he put out in a thing today, if you've ever been in a builder's yard, you'll hear a lot worse things than that. I think he's performed extremely well, and having normal people like that in Parliament might be a good idea. What do you think?
Let's be honest, Carol Vorderman has had plastic surgery to make herself look that good because she's getting old and she's out of the public eye. She's trying to keep herself relevant and keep herself looking young and attractive and all that. So this is going to come with the territory. Even when she was on TV in her heyday, she was voted Rear of the Year, and she totally lapped that up.
Yep,
Yeah,
she loved
totally
that.
lapped that up. She didn't find it offensive in any shape or form.
No, exactly. And if you're going to pose as rear of the year, I mean, let's be
Right.
honest.
Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of politicians who will certainly win Arsehole of the Year competition. Now.
Yeah,
And not because of the way they're shaped.
Carol Vorderman looks younger now than she did when she was presenting Countdown.
she
I mean,
does.
It's a conundrum. It really is. Can I
Boom.
thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
Can I tan my genitals again for a second?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Just in Tesco just now. Guess who I saw in Tesco? Sir John Curtis. And I was about to ask him, because he was doing his shopping. I was like, I'm going to go up to him. Professor Curtis, who's going to win Makerfield? I thought, I can't ask him that, because everybody will be asking him that question. So I thought I'd leave him alone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. My wife's a big fan of John Curtis. She says that he's relatively balanced in what he says. He's also getting on a bit on it, by the way.
He's not that old, actually. He's because I googled him earlier. He's
He's up here.
72, I think.
Early 70s, yes.
But he lives in Inverclyde. I just found that out, and goes to the same Tesco as me. But I don't want to be down on the guy, but have you ever seen an interview with Sir John Curtis where he said anything mildly, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of thought-provoking.
No.
I don't mean he says anything thick. He's not a stupid man, but he's never said anything that wasn't obvious.
There's a reason. There's a reason he's on the BBC so much, Antonio.
Yes,
There's always a reason.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Go on, Dave. Carol Vorderman.
Yes, we get back to Carol Vorderman's bottom.
But I put out a Substack the other day, Carol Vorderman, the bottom line. I was very pleased with myself for the headline. I thought that's a good headline. Maybe the article's not great. But
I know there's some people might find this sexist, right? But women spend a lot of money on their hair, their nails, their shoes, their clothes for a reason. They want to look attractive. They want men to look at them. So when they're doing this, what do they think the comments are going to be? They're going to get comments like that from people. Do you understand what I mean?
She's changed one hell of a lot. I think I've said this before, but round about 94, 95, I had along with other colleagues, had a business dinner with her in London. And that was when she was her career was beginning to take off through Countdown and so on and so forth. And she looked, let's just say she was very different then to what she is now. In so many ways, not even recognizable, and you just wonder, like at the moment, for example, she told everyone to vote for Labour in 2024, 2026, she's telling people to vote for the Green Party. I mean, as Northern Monkey says, she considers herself a serious political force.
Coming from Carol Vorderman, that doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up, does it? No, it absolutely does not. But okay, well, I've got someone else I want to play for you a little clip from, and because I like to bring in all the celebrities, and we've got Dawn French now coming into the studio. Yeah, Rachel Riley. Yeah, Rachel Riley's much better. I agree, Northern Monkey. Here's Dawn French with a few words of wisdom for the trans community. Listen to Dawnie.
I'm with you all the way. One day, this won't even be an issue. It'll just be all normal, like it.
Okay, you got a bit of that there. I don't know what the internet's doing
That's
here.
15 seconds of my life that I'll never get back.
Yeah, I don't know one for you, actually. Let's see if I get this one. I'll see if there's any better. This is about Israel. You get or Gaza. Famous one, this.
Complicated. No, but nuanced. But bottom line is no. Yeah, but they did a bad thing to us. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, but no. But we want that land, and we don't know, what history, and no. Those people, not really people, are they really?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I just wanted to. Yeah, or Donny.
Dawn French is there?
Hmm?
Weren't they? She looked totally different in those two videos.
She did. Yeah, she did, Adrian. Yeah. So sorry about the quality there, the sound, but you get the gist of it anyway. Northern Monkey,
I'm
top comment.
glad that I couldn't
Being
hear it.
around Lenny
I'm glad.
Henry is driven her mental. Yeah, Northern Monkey. I think you've basically summed it up actually. But what a horrible individual. You know, the Vicar of Dibley. I'm basically supporting, you know, the trans community. She's a woman. Does she not care about other women? You know,
We've had this conversation before, though. We liked these people, these comedians, when we didn't know what their politics were.
yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
there's certain. I mean, Hollywood's rife with it. Again, Uncle Paddy's probably got a lot to say on this, but I find it really hard to watch Robert De Niro and other people like that now, because you just know that they're just. I mean, look, they're very good at saying these lines. That's what they're good. They're pretending to be other people. But when it comes to their own opinions, and they spout such complete garbage, and they think they're more important than they are. Well done, you've pretended to be somebody else. Well, that's not a skill. But we've had this conversation before about all these great comedians, and comedy's great because it's true and all that sort of stuff. But look at Graham Linehan, and he's constantly taking, you know, digs at people who you just think, like, they could have supported him back in the day. And you find out who these people are. He was going to do a Father Ted musical. I don't know if you know about this.
Yeah.
And it would have been brilliant. Father Ted was brilliant. And the musical would have been good, but Neil Hannon wouldn't toe would toe that certain line, and felt that he was. Linehan put an X out not long ago about how he had a big phone call with Neil Hannon telling him to back off on all the trans stuff, and you just think, you know, art being this voice of truth is just a load of nonsense.
That's a very profound point, but I think you're spot on. I think that is it. I agree. Paddy, are you still here, or are you gone silent there? It's not like you. He mustn't be there. But Adrian, what do you reckon? You know, when you have, you know, much loved comedians and whatnot coming out with this kind of propagandist crap, like, is it? Grantoni was right, isn't he? I mean, art isn't.
I think we need to turn the cancel culture around and cancel these people. You're only famous because you can tell a joke. Nothing else. You're not a political statesman or stateswoman. You're not famous for having political nous about you. You're famous for telling jokes and comedy sketches on TV. Stick to that. Otherwise, we don't want to know you. It's the same with Bruce Springsteen. Like, if I went to one of his concerts and he started into a political diatribe, I would just leave. You know, because that's not the reason these people are famous and people like them. You know,
the irony of Springsteen. The irony of Springsteen, Adrian. The irony of Springsteen being like the voice of working class America.
Well, he's a multi-millionaire and has been for many, many years. How the hell's he working class?
But that's the image.
He's not, and it's like, what do you got? He made his whole last tour.
Uncle Paddy has come alive.
Triggered him.
You know, God, the only reason for the ticket.
He's collapsed.
The Iranians have got him.
No, I think he's just collapsed out of anger.
Right, yeah.
They stole me alive. Yeah. I'm driving through the hills of Pennsylvania, which means, you know, every so often just dips out, guys.
But we need to start turning the tables.
But tell us about Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce
Springsteen.
Yeah. His last tour was.
Sorry.
Pull over and tell us.
Yeah, pull over, Paddy. We can't hear you. But look, they're all hypocrites. I'll tell you who I saw a comment from yesterday. You know that guy? What's his name? Mark Ruffalo. Is that his name? Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk. Oh God, the awful. He said, a guy who's made millions from the Marvel movies. He came out with a comment, said that We need to capitalism. We just need to stop it now. Do you know? Oh, we need to stop it, do we, Mark? You've made your millions, and now you want to pull the ladder up and make sure no one else makes their millions. It's the hypocrisy.
Embarrassing.
It's
Embarrassing. It's A-level politics. It really is. But does it not bother you that Mark Ruffalo is actually a bloody good actor? Robert De Niro is a bloody good actor.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point, actually. These are people who are pretending to be other people. And when you see Robert De Niro or Mark Ruffalo or whoever on what's his name? Is his name Mark Ruffalo? You see them on screen.
Mark Ruffalo, yeah.
Well, they're pretending to be good people. They're pretending to be moral, worthy people. And that's why they're so good. I don't know. And then they just open their mouths and they come out with like really ill-informed, banal...
You take Robert De Niro, who I think would probably all agree is a great actor, but an awful human being. Certainly, everything I ever saw.
Well, actually, I'll counter that, David. I'll counter that. De Niro has actually been quite good on autism vaccines.
Okay,
and it pains me to say that because he does have Trump derangement syndrome. But he has been very good on the vaccine stuff.
But do you not think as well part of these people are spouting all this nonsense so that they can stay in the good books and keep getting the multi-million pound film deals?
They're all queuing up to make films with Roman Polanski, one of the greatest film directors of all time. But he was a child rapist. He was a child rapist who's never served the time in prison that he should have. But all these actors, all these moralists telling us who we can vote for, all queuing up to work with a child rapist. I don't take moral lessons from these awful people.
No,
where's Uncle Jed when we need him? We need an Uncle Jed rant.
Well, unfortunately, Uncle Jed is unable, as you know, to be here tonight with us, but I'm sure he'll be back next Thursday night. I've given him tonight off, but we needed a Jed rant on this one. I've previously said, I think when you get to the entertainment industry and you get to Hollywood and the music industry, I would go maybe further than, I don't know if anyone would go as far as me in this, but I think it's satanic is what I think.
Yeah. Uncle Adrian and I had this conversation the other day about Satanism in the industry and making that deal. It is very interesting to me how many... I'm not saying I agree with you, David. I'm just throwing this out. It's very interesting how many celebrities whose first sons or daughters have died. That's very interesting. I'll park the trans thing for a second, but if you look into that rabbit hole, how many have had their first son or daughter killed at a very early age? That's very interesting. And another one, famous photograph of David Bowie doing the shh sign. Do you know the photograph I'm talking about? Where he's got his... Look at that photograph very carefully. He's not actually doing the shh sign. Look at his hand gesture. He's actually making a satanic gesture when you see that his index finger's raised. And we all know that David Bowie was steeped in Crowley and black magic and all that sort of stuff. I do wonder if his last album was all about messages. But go on, was someone going to say something?
Well, so many of them were. You go through the history of rock music in the 70s, Black Sabbath and all of that stuff. This stuff was fundamentally satanic. I remembered interviewing Right Said Fred, the two guys, I'm Too Sexy and all of that, on stage a few years back. And I asked them the question about this whole making the deal business. And they kind of said, yeah, it's an awful industry. That doesn't mean that everybody's bad in it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that a hell of a lot of them are. Do you not think so?
How many of them do that thing where they cover one of their eyes?
Oh, good.
You look at some of the symbolism in some of Madonna's stage stuff. It is very interesting. Led Zeppelin. Go on, Adrian wanted to say something.
Just a quick point. So you're saying then that they all make these deals, right, to get famous. So is this where the 27 Club comes in? Because maybe these people didn't make the deal, and that's why they ended up dying so young. And we have it twisted around in a different way, that they were drug addicts and all this kind of stuff, alcoholics. But maybe they were taken out because they wouldn't toe the line.
Can
You know,
you
your
think
Janis Joplins, your Kurt Cobains, your
Kurt
Amy
Cobain?
Winehouse. Who else do
Yeah.
I have?
Brian Jones. Can you think of anything more satanic than promoting drugs to children? I mean, I don't know if you guys are with me on this, but in my experience, which isn't unlimited, I do wonder if drugs open portals, open doorways to demonic entities and possession. I mean, all the stuff that's going on with Britney Spears the past few years.
I mean, she looks possessed to me.
It
You know,
is very interesting.
I'd say that's more like mind control, you know.
well, possible. Well, yeah.
You know, MK Ultra kind of stuff.
But again,
Because
you're talking about this the first the number of them who their first child is killed, but then the other one, the update on that is the number of them who have trans children, trans kids. I mean, it's all, and I know it goes down conspiratorial theory, but it does feel like there are rituals of humiliation. If you want to become wealthy, you have to go through rituals of humiliations, and I think that's what we observe.
Prince, I've just remembered. Yes, but Prince, he lost his baby. Remember, I can't remember how, but Prince's only child, and Prince died very young. That's interesting. I think John Travolta's son died not too long ago. There was, what was the actor's name? Martin Short. His daughter died not long ago. But you were talking about the trans thing.
Trans kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Was it not? Was it? I forget who it was. It might have been Charlize Theron, one of them. But they had 2 or 3 children who were trans. I think Brad Pitt's kids. Hasn't Brad Pitt got kids that are trans? And Elon Musk, he talks about wokery and how it's killed his son or his daughter. He tweeted something out.
He has. Yeah. I mean, you don't know. Are we reading too much into it? Is it just that they desperately want to be fashionable, and so hey, having a trans child is the absolute must-have fashion accessory? Is it that, Adrian, or is it the more deeper, darker? I kind of lean more to the deeper, darker, but some people think, well, they just want to be.
Again, I think it's to keep themselves in with the studios or the record labels and things like that, to show that they are woke, they are, you know, and this what keeps them relevant, gives them the big movie deals and all that kind of stuff, because they always thought we would follow Hollywood stars and the music stars. You know, if it's okay for Charlize Theron's kid to be trans, then it's not so bad that little Jimmy wants to be Julie. You know, for the ordinary person kind of thing.
There is an interview, Adrian, with Bob Dylan. I think you and I had this conversation where he says he literally made a pact with the devil.
He does, that's right. Famous.
Yeah. There's Katy Perry. There's also Angelina Jolie explaining about the rituals she went through, and there's several of them.
I mean, you go through that industry. I'm surprised anyone normal survives in it. Like anyone.
Look at what happened to Michael Jackson. The whole story is really tragic. From when he was a kid, an innocent, talented little boy, and I don't think he ever knew a moment of happiness in his life up to the day that he died.
I think he knew what was going on, and I think he was trying to protect the kids from being abused. There was 2 grand juries who deliberated for 18 months over Michael Jackson and never brought a charge against him.
Interesting.
Well, there was just a story about how Neverland Ranch was really a place to bring the kids to protect them from the dark forces. But, you know, I don't know what to believe and read anymore. It's just, you can't believe the news. You can't believe the story. You can only believe your eyes. And some of these people sacrifice their children to get to the dark side.
Who was it? Was it Macaulay Culkin had said that Jackson stopped him from going to that famous island?
Yeah.
You know, so don't forget.
Didn't he have a really unhappy childhood as well, Macaulay Culkin? Didn't he drift off into drugs and all sorts of things?
I think they
He
do,
did.
but when they're that young and famous, though.
That
Drew
young
Barrymore
actor-
was another.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore, the young actor that played Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars film. I forget his name, but he was like the most famous little boy on the planet because he was in that awful Star Wars film where he was playing Heineken.
Hayden
Or whatever his name
Christensen,
was. No. Before him, there was a much younger lad before him. But if you look at his name was Jake's, whatever. But if you look into the life that he led, and you think, well, where are these sort of supposed father figures like your George Lucases and your Steven Spielbergs, and the kind of life Edward Furlong from the Terminator films? Look at the life that he had. Real mess, getting involved in drugs and alcohol and just it seems to happen to a lot of them. You want River Phoenix, remember? I mean, didn't he talk about abuse that he suffered?
Which one died? Was it River Phoenix or Lee
River
Phoenix?
No, Joaquin Phoenix is the brother who's still alive. That's won all the Oscars. Really good actor.
River Phoenix was, I believe, died of an OD outside a barroom door.
That's right.
I think he was a sacrifice, to be honest.
Well, either which way, he ended up dead. Yeah. Although, Paddy, I wanted to go back on something you just said there. You can't, can you even believe your own eyes? See, I'm not sure you can, because with AI now, I'm not sure we can believe our own eyes, or we're moving to a point where you will see videos of things that don't exist and you will think they do exist. So how can you then discern? I mean, it's one of the big worries about.
Well, this is what's going. Look at what's going on right now. We've got the United States government is dropping classified UFO films and stuff like this and shit. And it's like, how much of it you can't believe it. Even if there are real ones, you can't believe that any of this stuff is real or not real because you can't prove it.
At the same time, Steven Spielberg's about to drop a film called Disclosure Day.
Yeah, I mean, how convenient.
But no, I saw footage the other day, and it was Sir Keir Starmer, and he was cracking jokes. He was having a laugh and a joke. Everybody was laughing at his jokes. Pure personality, and you think, yeah, AI.
Yeah, but that is it. I was speaking to a friend.
That's obvious AI.
Yeah, but you see so much AI slop. I see it over on X. I see it on Facebook. So much. It's awful.
But it's so real. The litmus test was about 2 or 3 years ago. It was footage of. I don't know if you call it footage. It was an AI render of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it looked horrendous. And then it's evolved over time. And there was not long ago, it was a month or two ago, it was footage of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt kicking the living daylights out of each other. And it was real. As far as I could see, it was real. That we're here now. We are here now, where it is indistinguishable.
Yeah, you think that fight did take place, or was it an AI fight? Do you think?
What the Brad Pitt Tom Cruise thing?
Yeah.
No. It was an AI team who released it. It was marketed as their latest sort of technology and where it's got to. And it's watch it. It looks as good as any of the Mission Impossible films. It's fascinating.
This is what worries me, though, because AI is being pushed so hard, and yet will AI get us to the point where we literally can no longer tell? Paddy, to your point, we will not. There's no way of being able to believe your own eyes. Certainly on social media.
It's already there. It's already there. You can't. The technology, it already exists. That there's it's next to impossible to tell what film is real and what film isn't.
Hey, Paddy, that'll be good news for the moon bases then, won't it? Back of the net, Paddy. You left that for me. Oh, yeah, let's get these moon bases going. That's going to definitely be 100% real.
I tell you what, if they perfected AI while Biden was in the White House, they wouldn't have been hiding him in basements or anything like that. There'd have been all kinds of footage of him.
Did you see? Yeah, well, that's true. Well, okay, they haven't perfected it yet. Paddy, did you see the comments that Jill Biden made there earlier today or yesterday, that she thought shouldn't laugh, but why not? That Joe was having a stroke during that famous debate with
Yeah,
Donald
because
Trump.
he was fine up until then. This was all news to her. Well, where the hell was she? Because nobody else knew. Everybody. This was the whole thing. Is everybody? This was just affirmation to everyone else. This
Yeah, we
woman
all knew.
supposedly is living with him and doesn't know.
I think that was one of the great lines of American discourse in that debate where Joe Biden said something. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Trump just went, "Yeah, I don't know what he said. I'm not even sure if he knows what he." Sorry, I'm not even sure if he knows what he said. That was.
It was a great
brilliant.
moment.
Yeah.
Trump has produced great moments, but Jill Biden. It's just you're quite right. Jill Biden saying he'd never been like that before or after. And here's another thing. Another weird thing about Joe Biden. He was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer last year, where the life expectancy is about 6 months. He's still, that was a year ago. Do you think that was even real? The prostate cancer diagnosis?
Well, do you remember when Kate Middleton got diagnosed?
Yes, yeah.
And Charles, and they both kept their heads of hair or whatever hair Charles left out. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. It is interesting.
It's a weird one. Well, listen, folks, we have come to the end of our allocated time, I can see. So I want to thank everyone, first of all, who's listened. If you want to support me being able to do these, the best way to do that is if you buy me a coffee, and some of you kindly do that. So if you do that, there's a link below all my podcasts. You can go or over to davidvance.net, and there's a donate sign there. You have a good weekend as well, Salty Republican Rocker. But I want to thank Adrian and Antonio, and particularly Paddy, for your driving through those Pennsylvanian hills and yet finding the time for us. Do appreciate that. Thank you all the guys on the different streams for all the different comments. Jed will return next Thursday night, as I hope will everybody else. And since I don't know how to finish the music, I'm just going to end this stream. And when it ends, guys, it ends. And catch up with you all real soon. Don't forget to check out tomorrow's podcasts and Substacks and stuff. But that's it from the team and myself. It's good night.
Good night.